Blog Talk Radio. You're tuned in to in5d Radio, the next dimension of radio, where we bring you the hottest, in-depth, spiritual, metaphysical, esoteric conversations and news, with your hosts Greg Prescott and Heidi Cole. Get ready for spirit, body, and mind to expand in 3, 2, 1.
Namaste, everyone, and welcome to in5d Radio, coming to you from Sarasota, Florida, every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific, and 12 a.m. midnight in the UK. I'm your host, Greg Prescott from in5d.com, and for the next 2 hours, we're going to be raising the vibration of the planet, galaxy, and universe. Tonight, we're going to have open lines all night, but first, I'd like to introduce my co-host, coming to you from New York City. She's drenched with rainwater. She's a singer, songwriter, stunt person, and author of the Subway Diaries, Heidi Cole. Hi, Heidi.
Hi, Greg. I want everyone to say a little prayer for my guitar, please.
Yeah.
We got caught in the rain, and I'm praying. I was talking to it before the show, saying, please survive in one piece. So this week, so much has gone on. I've been down at Occupy at Zuccotti Park here in New York, supporting Turkey, and there's a slight chance I may have one of my friends from Occupy, Justin, who's there in Turkey right now covering the uprising, and so if he does show up, we'll break in open lines for him to speak on what's actually going on there. But in follow-up to our global Monsanto boycott a couple weekends ago, cockroaches and what they're really telling us. Now, CBS did a story a week ago. They didn't mention the GMO connection, but what they did report last week was that our ever-consistent and feisty Earth partner, the cockroach, is now, quote, evolved to avoid corn syrup. And for decades, people have been getting rid of cockroaches by setting out bait mixed with poison. But in the late 1980s, in an apartment test kitchen in Florida, something went very wrong. A killer product stopped working. Cockroach populations there kept rising. Mystified, researchers kept tested and discarded theory after theory until finally they hit on the explanation. In a remarkably rapid display of evolution at work, many of the cockroaches had lost their sweet tooth, rejecting the corn syrup meant to attract them. In as little as 5 years, the sugar-rejecting trait had become so widespread that the bait had been rendered useless, said the CBS report. Now, CBS went on to explain how researchers are working to develop a new poison lure, but what they didn't mention is the possibility that perhaps the cockroach is, per usual, actually smarter than we humans and is refusing to eat a poison containing a toxin more toxic than the intended poison itself, a toxin called GMO corn syrup. Now, I suppose one could argue that the bait manufacturers used all organic corn syrup in their roach killers. However, I'm thinking probably not. And instead, I'm thinking that the cockroach's tour de force is rapid successful adaptation and survival, and have adapted around the GMO toxins to save their own little crunchy hides. I tend to believe we actually can learn something from our annoyingly fast-scooting friends. GMOs kill, and to avoid them at all costs. So, you crazy cucarachas, thank you for joining the global Monsanto boycott and demanding only the best be in your bait traps. Secondly, and as you probably know if you've been listening for a while, one of my most favorite topics, that of universal consciousness thing. There's a story from guidepostdoc.org, and I'll just give a little warning here, preamble. Get out your box of Kleenex because you're going to need it for this one. So Casey wasn't the most popular dog in her owner Carol Bird's neighborhood of Dalton, Georgia. A huge, burly Alaskan Malamute, she had a heart of gold, but a nose for trouble. She'd slip out of the Bird family back door and trot down the street without a care. Most people gave her a wide berth. That was hardly surprising. From a distance, Casey looked a lot like a wolf. She behaved like one, too, or at least had an appetite like one. Neighbors often stormed over to complain, "Your dog got out again and ate all of our dog's food," or "Casey's turned over our garbage again." So when a man rapped on Carol's door and said he lived 3 blocks away and then asked for her dog's name, Carol braced herself. What did Casey do this time? The man concluded, "We have a sliding glass door that we usually keep open in the summer," the man began. "And every day for the last several weeks, your dog has wandered off the street and come uninvited into my house." That dog, Carol thought. "I'm so sorry," she said. I don't know why Casey gets herself into so much mischief. A lot of it's our fault. We have to start watching her more closely. But honestly, she means no harm." No, you don't understand," the man interrupted. "I came over to thank you." The man must have seen the confusion on Carol's face. No neighbor had ever said anything positive about Casey before. They usually wanted to know who would fill up the 2-foot hole she'd energetically dug in their backyard, but not this neighbor. He explained that his father, who had Alzheimer's, lived with him and his wife and needed constant monitoring. The father rarely moved from his easy chair in front of the TV in the living room and was often agitated. Caring for him had exhausted the man and his wife. "I couldn't remember the last time we had 2 hours to ourselves," the man said. "And then one day, your dog showed up." Casey wandered into the house, through the sliding door, and made straight for the man's father. "She sat right beside him like she had planned to visit him all along," the neighbor said, his voice filled with wonder. He saw his father turn to Casey and began to pet her. He stroked her and fell peacefully asleep. "He slept 2 full hours, the neighbor said. "It was the biggest midday reprieve my wife and I had had in years." Casey returned the next day, and every day after that, as if she had had an appointment to keep. Each time was the same. She'd pad to the old man's chair and sit by his side, letting him pet her till he dozed off. "To my wife and me," the neighbor said, "Casey was a gift from heaven. That's why I've come to see you today. Is Casey here?" "Oh, yes, she's here," Carol said. "Casey!" The big Malamute trotted up, looking at the neighbor and with searching eyes. The neighbor gave a gentle pat. "You must have known, didn't you?" the neighbor said to Casey. "That's why you stopped coming by a couple days ago." "Know what?" Carol asked. "My father died in his sleep the night after Casey's last visit." She knew her job was over. So I just thought this story was worth a share because it brings up that universal consciousness thread that has seemed prominent in our broadcasts far between plants and animals, and at some point we humans we catch up to it all. So what's going on with you, Greg, and the world that's around you?
Well, first off, I got to say I wasn't prepared to hear that story, and I think it was just an amazing story. Thanks for sharing it. I wonder what else Baston would say about that.
I know. I thought about her as I stumbled on it, and it just resonated with me so much, and we just need to keep an eye out for these pieces of magic that are all around us. So
I got goosebumps.
I know.
When you're reading that, I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe this. That's great. Thank you. Well, a couple days ago, I got a nasty case of food poisoning, and a lot of people already know about this. But after I ordered some white pizza, I ended up sleeping for 28 out of 32 hours, and it wasn't until today that I started feeling better. So I'm just eating a lot of bland foods and taking it easy, and that's where I'm at right now. But, the show will go on, and here we are. And I know that you had some incidents there with the rain and the weather and everything, but right on schedule, here we are. So we're doing what we got to do. And actually, with that being said, I see Andrew has called in, and I bet he has some news for us. So let's bring Andrew aboard.
Oh, how you doing?
Hey, Andrew.
Hey, what's up?
Andrew.
How you doing today,
By the way, good. Actually, to be honest with you, I was expecting Andrew Bashago to be on. What happened?
Oh, he is going to be on probably in the fall. I spoke with him today and yesterday, and I was laughing not at him, but at the sort of burnout life Lightworker syndrome that seems to be going on, and the poor guy is just stretched so thin. And so we agreed it would be more powerful to have him on when he was less completely stretched to his limit. So that's going to happen, but it'll be much more enjoyable when he doesn't have, I think he has allergies and sore throat and booked and crazed with his law practice, and he kept saying, I'm so burned. I'm like, well, that's not good, so he'll be on, no worries.
Oh, well, that's reassuring, but,
yeah.
Well, since he's not on, I guess, might as well bring up, other important issues, like, two things are going on this week, Bilderberg and the trial of Bradley Manning. Those are two things everybody's got to be paying attention to. In regards to Bradley Manning, here's a good question for everybody. Why is it that Bradley Manning gets into legal trouble for committing espionage to expose government corruption, but the United States government doesn't get in trouble for violating Executive Order 13526, Section 1.7, which makes it illegal for the U.S. government to classify things in order to conceal government wrongdoing? That's a head-scratcher, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
One of many.
I don't support executive orders by any stretch of the imagination because it's dictatorial, but I can certainly appreciate the meaning of an executive order that says the government can't classify things to conceal that they're doing illegal activity. But other than that, Bilderberg, I remember being at Bilderberg last year when it was in Chantilly with all the protesters. It was a wonderful experience, and I wish I could go to London, but I hear it's going to be pretty hellish up there with the way security is going to be treating all those people. It's pretty sad, isn't it?
Yeah, well, did you say it's pretty sad?
Yeah, pretty sad that the way they're doing this when you're supposed to have press freedom and all, and they're kicking people out of the hotels, too. Alex Jones talked about how he got kicked out of the hotel that he was going to be going to.
Well,
when he was,
I do. Yeah, I agree. I do, though. I mean, if they're going to kick anyone out, it might as well be Alex Jones because he's not going to lay quiet with that. Good choice. If you're going to kick someone out with a voice like that because it's not going to lay dormant very long. He will take care of it. So.
Yeah, and speaking of great voices, Alex Jones and David Icke are going to be speaking out in public at Bilderberg. That's going to draw a lot of ears with that question. Yeah, they're both going to be showing up there.
Good.
All the more reason I wish I could
go. Maybe David Icke has a fold-out couch for Alex Jones.
Well, the best part about it, I think, is that when stuff like this happens, it only brings a greater awareness to the whole situation. So it's great. It's great publicity for the whole awakening movement. A lot of people are saying, hey, who is this Bilderberg, and why do people want to go there? Well, now they're finding out.
Right. And I wow, you couldn't hire better contrast than what they're giving us right now. And, again, if it's going to happen to someone, it might as well happen to someone with PR like Alex, because he will make them. I mean, they couldn't have handed him a better PR, as they seem to keep doing over and over again. So I don't consider it. That's why I asked you, did you say sad? Because I look at it the opposite way. I'm like, yeah, good pick. Pick Alex. It's better pick him than some no name with no radio show. And I think they're doing their job as our contrast, because we already know what we don't want, but they're just driving it home. It's okay. And getting the PR, and for us, I don't think this is PR for Bilderberg. I think this is PR for the light movement, and they're handing it to us easily. So that's how I see it.
Looking at your first topic, Andrew, it's not surprising at all. Especially when you look at, for example, all the ammunition, the hollow point ammunition that the government's bought. Now they've bought all this hollow point ammo, but it's, according to the Geneva Convention, illegal to use in foreign wars, which means they can only use it domestically. So, but yet they're denying, why they're buying all this ammo. So, it's obvious that they fear a revolution.
Yeah, and Janet Dung-Beetle Napolitano refuses to say anything about it whenever any benevolent politicians try to question her about it. Personally, I think Janet Napolitano is a man who had a sex change. Janet Reno definitely was. So it's funny how they're both named Janet. I don't think it's a coincidence. It's also funny how Janet is the name of the airline at Area 51 that flies workers into Area 51. It seems to be a common name, Janet, among the Illuminati for some reason for those three examples. But anyway, I'm kind of digressing. Point is, Bilderberg, they had to eventually come out with it in the mainstream media because of the attention. At Chantilly last year, when I was there, there was a Washington Post reporter there that showed up, and they said only 20 people showed up, which is horsepucky. I was there; it was several hundred. But the leader of the Washington Post is one of the members of Bilderberg, so that doesn't come as too much of an astonishment.
So you were there at Chantilly last year?
Yes, I was, and
good for
very
you.
great.
Good for you.
Yeah. Dragged my butt all the way down from Philadelphia to Chantilly just to join my fellow protesters, and hopefully our attention would expand some love throughout consciousness, and I'm sure we'll do the same in London, even though I can't be there.
Oh, it's already ramping up there. From what I see on Facebook, people are already on it. I mean, they'll be all over it, no doubt. So I'm not worried for some reason. I don't feel. Maybe, this might be their last meeting for all we know. So I'm hoping they enjoy it and they have good, donuts and coffee and whatever.
Well, Kelly Rosano said the reptilian's time is almost up. I hope she knew what she was talking about.
Yeah, I think this is probably a where are we going to hide meeting versus how are we going to own the world meeting.
You got that right. You got that right.
Yeah, I mean, it's how do we get the heck out of here and alive. So I'm not worried. Again, there are contrasts. There are reasons to figure out what we really want instead of scoot along as not caring and not owning our actions. I think it's going to push people. These things are going to push people to wake up and stand up a little more. Hopefully, that's my hope. My hope is that we get as awake as places like Turkey and oh gosh, almost everywhere else on the planet. My goodness, people were complaining today on online about how the Occupy movement is covering everywhere else except America. I'm like,
it's going in Europe.
Right. I mean, what are we doing here? I mean, you guys are just in your apartment typing. You got, once you're on the streets and you stop criticizing the people who are on the streets, that will, then they'll come back and start covering America. But what are we covering, right? I mean, so it's all right. It'll happen. It's just, I think the contrast is still necessary because we're still not on the streets. Is my opinion. That's how I see it.
Yeah, well, the Occupy movement seems to be growing a lot more in Europe now than in America because Europe is getting a little more desperate with what's going on with their banks. Their economy is supposed to collapse before America's. At least that's what the plan is, according to globalist insiders, apparently.
Yeah,
but
America is still comfortable enough not to take to the streets. I just hope they decide to use the summer wisely because I don't want to let another summer go by and then slide through winter with being asleep. That's my hope that we actually make some use of this summer because it's time. It's time. It's been time. Yeah. So really, your insights and questions though are awesome, and I wish you as well. If you were in the UK covering Bilderberg, you could report back. That would be awesome.
Yeah,
right?
it would.
Well, I was in the UK for the David Icke Wembley talk, and it's really funny. The day before the talk, I actually shouted, "Queen's a lizard," in front of Buckingham Palace at the top of my lungs. My God, that was so hilarious. I had to do that. I couldn't resist.
Did you get it on tape?
No, I didn't, unfortunately. But I knew they wouldn't arrest me. It would have been egg in their face, and David Icke would have had a field day if they actually arrested me for shouting "Queen's a lizard" in front of Buckingham Palace. But
well, it kind of would have blown their cover if they had, right? They're not supposed to know that whole thing.
Yeah. Yes, they are.
Wow. Wow.
I think Andrew should come on every week and do like a little news blurb for it.
Absolutely. Yeah, Andrew, definitely. You're hired. You're hired.
I don't know if I could come on every week, but I definitely will call in when possible.
Totally understand.
Yeah.
Totally understand.
We'll look for your area code right after we do the news and bring you on whenever you have something. How's that?
Okay. Yeah, I've been listening to a little too much Alex Jones. I know all about the news, so you can trust me when it comes to the news.
No, he's so entertaining, though. I mean, it's awesome. When you need a little jolt, it's awesome. Some Alex Jones, so
yeah.
He's definitely cool.
Yeah, we gotta move on because we have 3 other callers lined up here. So Andrew, thanks again for calling in. Always a pleasure to hear from you, my brother.
You're welcome, Greg.
All right.
Thanks, Andrew. Okay, so we have another call here.
Someone's been on hold for quite a while there.
Yeah, 231 for almost 30 minutes. 231, are you there? Hello, 231.
Oh, hello.
231. Hi.
Hi, welcome to in5d Radio.
Sorry about the whole. What's your name?
Caitlin Roby.
Hi, Caitlin. Welcome.
Hi, Caitlin.
Oh, thank you. So I was listening
What's on your mind?
to you guys and how, if there was some sort of revolution, you think that, I was a soldier. Me and my husband were soldiers. So if there was something to happen where the government wanted to turn on us, I think that they wouldn't. I think that, because it's their families, they would turn on the government. So their own soldiers aren't going to fight for them. They're going to fight for their families, their communities. So I don't believe that really they have any power.
I definitely agree with you. I think that, if there is a revolution, it's really going to come down to the retired military that are awakened and have said, this is enough. They're the ones that are going to really...
Actually, most soldiers do believe that this is enough. They've had it,
Mm-hmm.
So...
Oh, yeah.
Someone's been doing a study of the soldiers. It'll come to me anyway about they've been taking polls of who would turn against and who would support the public. It'll come to me who it is. But it seems to be going exactly the way you're saying, Caitlin. Yeah, they wouldn't turn.
I mean, they're not going to fight. They're not going to attack their own communities where they grew up.
No.
I mean, really, they're not. Their own people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But you wonder about the super soldiers, and what they're trying to do now is get NATO involved as well as the United Nations and bringing an international army in, and that makes you wonder. And once again, I go back to that point that I made with Andrew about all those hollow point ammunition purchases that the government made. If you can't use them in the Geneva Convention, then who are they planning on using them against?
Maybe it's an art project.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe.
Maybe.
Might as well joke about it because, I don't see that coming to fruition. I honestly don't. I see a lot of awakened people.
Exactly. Yeah, that's what I was saying. I mean, they're going to have to do something with it, so I'm jumping ahead a little bit, that's all.
Caitlin, where do you see this heading?
Just everything in general. I see it just all kind of making, you see all these natural disasters happening everywhere. I feel like it's the earth, whatever you do to it, you're going to have consequences, and everyone's been treating the earth so bad, like the negative energy, the war, more people having more than other people and having enough, but not sharing with the world and with people that live in poverty, the people that have all the power. I feel like it's just revolting. It's coming to a conclusion of, people are going to have to start waking up. Otherwise, they realize that it's just going nowhere. They're not, going to have and be happy, basically. The way that the world's heading.
It's really hard to be happy when you know that there are people suffering, living in poverty, that are homeless, and it doesn't matter how well off you are. If you can't feel empathy for these people, then you have no heart whatsoever.
Exactly. It doesn't matter where you live. I don't feel like it matters what country you grew up in. If there's people suffering, we can't be happy. Truly.
Yeah, and exactly. And I just got goosebumps. My guys are telling me, right on, glad you said it. And it's true, though. It's 100% truth, man. We gotta be all together in this, and nobody is less important than the other person in this whole movement. You know, I'm doing all I can. You know, and I'm trying to do everything I can possibly do. Everybody else is too. And despite, me having this big website and a radio show and yada yada, what I'm doing is no more important than any one of the listeners out there that are doing their own thing in their own way. And that's so important. We all have to keep pushing forward and doing as much as we can do to help this movement move along as quickly as possible. You know, we're in this crunch time, and everyone's feeling that feeling of impendingness of we're on the verge of something huge right now, and it's a very positive thing. And we just need to get that critical mass to that one level, and we're so close to it right now, and it's going to happen real soon. We can all feel that.
Right. You do feel something huge is about to happen, bigger than what has happened so far, with everything kind of coming to a conclusion here.
Mm-hmm.
Like, where are we going to go next after this?
But you made a great point. I think that I do think that the military, the retired military, are the ones that are really going to be the unsung heroes in this, and they're going to rise up to the occasion.
Right, exactly. The military doesn't care about their soldiers. They really don't. We all know it. As soon as you get out of the military, they don't care if you're homeless. They don't care if you have a place to live, or they just don't. They don't care about you. They use you.
Yeah, you're just a pawn.
That's really glad you're saying
a pawn.
that. We'll remind everyone that she and her husband Caitlin and her husband, they were both in the military, so she's not saying this from nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And yep.
And a lot of us, we feel the same way. Myself, and this is my only opinion, is that I'm not much for nationalism or patriotism, because I think that's what really separates us as being a global community.
I also believe that also. I have a hard time, even when I was a soldier in the military, I had a hard time with the fact of being separate, because everything was always separate. It was always this platoon against that platoon, this team against that team, this company against that company. And I felt like it more created a separateness that didn't connect with one. I mean, we feel when you become a soldier and you're so divided up into, a team and a platoon and a company and a battalion, it just serves to separate you more. And then you feel like you're against the other soldiers in other parts of the world when you shouldn't be.
Right. And I'll tell you, it's even nauseating for me to watch the Olympics when I hear, at least here in the United States, when I hear people chanting USA, I'm like, oh, really?
Yeah.
It's almost nauseating, because I'm not patriotic or nationalistic in that kind of way.
Right. Also, I have I kind of disagree with sports a little bit, especially football. How it makes billions and billions of dollars, and they pay just one of their players billions of dollars when there's people suffering, all around the world, in their own country even. But yet they get paid so much money to just run back and forth on a field and be competitive and go against other teams, which also creates tension between states, so we don't feel like we're a cohesive, whole. We feel like, oh, it's my state against your state, like my football team against your football team.
My tribe against your tribe, exactly.
Right, my tribe against your tribe.
It's the whole divide and conquer premise.
Everything is, even all the shows. I mean, to me also, it's a way to it's just one big blue pill thing. It's gathering people for football or the Grammys or the Oscars or the whatever or Boston bombing, whatever it is just keeping the brainwashing going in a big way, and the divisiveness and
it's a distraction. It's an illusion they put out there for you to keep you distracted among your little games and your little toys they want you to play with. Don't pay attention to what we're doing here. And have this fight, just like the Democrats and the Republicans. It's all the same. They're all going for the same thing, but what they do is they create the Democrat and the Republican to kind of give you a sense of separateness, like, oh, it's us against you, but we're not going to pay attention to what they're doing, in the office. It's just Democrats against Republicans. And Republicans
Caitlin
against Democrats.
for president. That's it. You're nominated.
Okay, yeah. She's got my vote.
Yeah.
But it really is, you look at it more, it's just an illusion, you know? They try to give us so many illusions, and it just, I see right past it, really. But
yeah, it's all distraction. And then the top of their pyramid is always the same: money, power, fame, money, power, fame, money, power, fame.
Yeah.
So whether it's Beyonce or owning a country or conquering this or killing someone or beating a football team, it's always saying money, power, fame, money, power, fame, money, power, and nothing else matters. Yeah, and so it's.
But what kind of life is that? You wonder, are they unhappy up there at the top? You know, how truly unhappy, you know.
I'll tell you what, Caitlin, honestly, I think that whatever the entity is at the top of the pyramid, I don't think it's from this planet, and I don't think it's benevolent.
No, neither do I. Have you guys seen the Sirius movie coming out?
Mm-hmm.
It's a movie. Yeah. It's like the movie about like the government corruption and like a little 6-inch alien that they found.
Uh-huh.
And how they're doing studies on it, and they know that the DNA is not from this planet, so they're trying to get the movie out to awaken people. But you know how the government, the media controls pretty much everything that we listen to, everything that we see. For the most part.
Yeah, that's the way the mainstream media is. You're already seeing reports circulating saying that it was some kind of I forgot what kind of monkey or whatever, but they've already disproven that it wasn't any kind of monkey, that it is has DNA from someplace other than here. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out.
I think that's really funny. I wonder. I mean, the monkey. Who's the monkey? Who's the monkey there?
Right.
Yeah, it's so, I don't know, Caitlin, I don't know if you find this, but when you see straight through the illusion, the whole world looks really, really amusing, really, really. It's like your life is watching a movie. Your whole day is watching a movie.
It really is. It's like, everyone's caught up in all these illusions, all these games. Like, honestly, it kind of frustrates me a little bit. I just want to go around and shake people, wake up. How do you not see what's really going on? How do you not see past the facade that they have,
I have a question for you, Caitlin. And
yes?
I'm sure you still have people that are currently active in the service. Do you talk to them about stuff that's going on in the news, like the Bilderberg and all that stuff?
I have two friends that are active duty, and they're just like I am. They're more into metaphysics, and, they're both medics. But they see, for the most part, they both are like newly awakened to, this kind of subject and everything. So, but they're very interested in it, and I feel like there are more soldiers waking up. But there are, a lot of soldiers are still very 3D in the fact that, like the drill sergeants, like when you went through basic training, like they put you down and they humiliated you, they embarrassed you, like all these negative things, and I always wondered why. What's the point of embarrassing or humiliating someone? That's not going to make them stronger. That's not going to make them want to fight for you or, I didn't want to really fight. I mean, honestly, I just didn't.
Don't you think it's a little bit like MK Ultra training, though, the way they do that in the military?
It's what? What'd you say?
Somewhat like the MK Ultra mind control training that they do. It sounds a lot like that, what people are put through in the military.
Right, they do. What they do is they humiliate you, they put you down, and they make you feel like to be good enough that you have to act like them. You have to basically do whatever they say and, go with whatever you have to go with, that you're not allowed to have your own opinion. You're not allowed to have your own individualism or, be opinionated, basically. Yeah. You have to go with whatever they say, no matter what.
It sounds a lot like religion. It's all about subservience, control, and conformity.
Right, conformity. Exactly. If somebody did something wrong, say someone forgot their weapon up in their barracks and we'd be downstairs in formation, then we would all have to drop and, get in the push-up position until they went and got their weapon and came back. We would all have to suffer for something that one person did in the platoon.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So, wow. Basically, it was all
So they do test this out on MKUltra victims, and then they put it into mass operation on military and religion. Yeah, interesting. Wow. Oh.
Well, listen, Caitlin, we have several other callers online, but feel free to call in anytime. And thank you so much for giving us that insight from the military perspective. I think it was really important that people heard that.
Right. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and please call in again, especially as you see things morphing and changing in that community, because a lot of us have never experienced it firsthand as you have, and that's a really rare perspective to hear.
Right. Well, I definitely will be calling in again. So
great.
Alrighty.
Thank you guys so much,
Caitlin.
for your time.
You're very welcome. Thank you. Take care now. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, so we have area code 226.
Hi there.
Hi, who's this?
This is Misty from the farmlands of Canada.
Hi, Misty from Canada. How are you?
Good. I want to touch base on a little what Caitlin was talking about sports as a part of a 3-point statement I want to make. Well, the sports industry pretty much wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the consumer, and I guess that's all tied into how they brainwash us through the TV and the media in general, right? Wouldn't you say so? And plus, as far as competing goes, mankind has competed for everything during our whole time on Earth, I think, right? It's okay to be friendly competitive, but as soon as you, I guess, take it as a living, it pretty much goes wrong. Wouldn't you agree?
Well, first off, you might want to lower the audio in the background, because we're hearing that echo going on there. I'm hearing an echo. Okay, perfect. No, that's okay. Heidi?
I'm not sure. I understand. I got the consumer part. What was the second part of your?
Well, I'm just saying, like the sports wouldn't exist if it wasn't for the consumer. These players, I agree with her completely. They shouldn't be getting paid more than a doctor or something like that. But in the first place,
I see. Oh, yeah.
You know, but in the first place, they wouldn't exist. Like, they wouldn't even pay them that much if it wasn't so much people coming and watching this and buying the jerseys and all so forth.
Right.
But then again, that all has to tie in of us being so competitive and then manipulating, I guess, that aspect of humans.
Well, yeah, they've really brainwashed humanity to an extreme point at this point, where we think supporting a football team is more important than saving a dog from being killed. You know, I mean, it's or a child, or it's really extreme when you think of that our priorities are Super Bowl versus human life, you know, or over human life. And I agree, the more, as long as the supporting of, whether it be Monsanto or the Redskins or whatever it is goes on, you know, as long as that happens, there's little chance that it's going to change. So people have to switch their priorities, but they have to be, they have to awaken enough to see the illusion, and a lot of people are still really stuck, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard for you and for me and for people who see straight through everything to feel what it's like to be in that, but many people are still so stuck. It's like their being is clogged with cement, you know, and it has to get unclogged. They don't see anything yet. But everyone has that breaking point, that one thing that begins the process. For most people, it's sort of an incremental thing. For some people, you know, it's an accident or an illness or something or a big loss or losing a job or a friend or something. But for a lot of people, it's very incremental. It just takes one thing to spark their interest, and they start to Google, you know.
But isn't it? I just want to add in, like, isn't it interesting how it's always usually like when something negative happens to them or something like that, they finally see through it, they finally break through that wall. But even if you, I'm sure everybody, even listening, has had friends where you could talk to them for hours about something and they'd be so ignorant about it, really just don't care, and then you have somebody that just, maybe a relative dies or they get cancer or something like that, and their life completely shifts. I want to add a second point there completely, though, about Monsanto, since that's what we started off with the show with, I guess. I want to just, I don't know if you guys have paid attention that everybody seems to talk about more about GMO corn than they do about GMO soy, right? And as far as it goes, soy is not really healthy for you at all. And it was in the I'm not sure if you guys read certain coconut oil books, which I have read, but they're claiming that it was in like in 1970s and 80s when coconut oil was really bumping and everybody was using it, and they started making false statements that it was saturated, a big saturated fat, and caused cardiac arrest, right? But in fact, the whole campaign for that was funded by ASA, which is the American Soy Association. So they pretty much threw out this super oil out of the market and replaced it with soy. And I think that everybody listening that is awake should go to a nutritionist that deals with kinesiology and have all your supplements tested and everything tested to make sure, because when I went, I was fine with everything except soy, and it makes sense. And, like, soy's in everything. Even when you take supplements, like, a filler could be soy, right? So it's pretty bad.
Well, it's interesting you brought that up, too, because I've recently posted a couple articles on in5d about oil pulling, and specifically I've been using, myself, coconut oil. It's this cold-pressed organic coconut oil for oil pulling, and you swish it around in your mouth for 5 minutes or whatever and spit it out, and you're good to go. And it's got a lot of
love coconut oil.
Oh, it does. Yeah. There's so many wonderful attributes to it, but yeah, that's a good... Definitely.
Yeah,
Thanks for bringing that up.
Thyroid, it's good for your skin, it's good for energy. I have it every morning, every single morning. I love it. I love it. Okay. I want to go back to what you said briefly on the loss. You know, people are asleep. Big thing happens, they wake up, and that this goes back to our show when we did the Dark Night of the Soul. And I think that phrase is sometimes misleading, and because I think that's often what that phrase, the Dark Night of the Soul, it actually means is that, you know, things dissolve, but the upside is that you really see through the illusion because of everything being stripped away. So I think your point is very true, and everyone, you know, if you want the crash course in awakening, that's sort of the way to go. But you don't want to take 10 years to do it. And then back to your soy issue point, it's a very good one. It's in so many things.
One last point, but I just want to get a little bit on the darker side here and go back to an event in the United States called the Boston bombing, I guess, of the marathon. I just have a kind of opinion question from anybody, even if anybody's willing to call in, or whoever, even you guys in general. I just want to know, like, honestly, if you put yourself in the shoes of a terrorist or whatever they call it, somebody dark and evil, wouldn't you think that people would have set off the bomb way earlier when so much people are around, and not wait till the crowd has dispersed everywhere? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. That point itself kind of debunks the whole. I think just by that point that it was a false flag.
Well, there's so many false flag warnings about that whole incident. I think you could probably name at least 30 of them where people have just come out and totally debunked, you know, the reasons why and what happened. But yeah, you know, you talk to these people who are, you know, oblivious, that are watching Fox News or CBS or whatever, or CNN, and, you know, they're sticking to the original story when immediately after this was the biggest false flag, or the biggest flag that got raised for me, was when the FBI said, don't look anywhere else except to us in these pictures when you're looking at the suspects. Why would you want to discard anything other than that, you know? But they automatically said, this is it. These are the only people you need to focus on. And that to me was very fishy.
Oh, the biggest warning for me, I think I shared this with you, Greg, that was when I got a text alert on my phone saying saying pay attention to this news story. I'm like, bingo. And they don't do it for Texas. They don't do it for anything else. They just do it for the the ones that are pre-planned and pre-programmed. It's hysterical. It's like,
Look over here while something else is happening. Smoke and mirrors, exactly.
Yeah.
All right, you friends take care then, okay?
Thank you for calling in. Look forward to hearing from you again.
Take care now.
Okay. Great.
Now, what I thought was funny about what he was talking about sports was that I forgot where I read this, but I heard that the ETs love sports and movies. Apparently, they love the emotion that's elicited at sporting events, as well as us being able to portray different people through movies, and different emotions are being elicited. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Well, yeah, the extremes, because, I mean, I think in that sense, yes, and the extremes of emotion aren't felt in other dimensions, and in fact, when I channel, I get that so much, and that's this is going to sound really weird, but most of the things I say sound weird, I'm thinking. So when I channel my whatever these beings are, they often wish to. They express that they enjoy the.
You there? We lost Heidi, but I think she was saying that.
There, I'm back. Sorry.
Oh, okay, yeah. My
headset goes in and out, random. The beings I channel, they express it that they enjoy the. It's like a roller coaster ride for them. Because their experiences are they don't have the extremes that we do in polarity and when you strip away the darkness of the mass control, it could be a fun ride, right? When the intention behind it was, if that was cleaned up, sure, fun ride.
Well, imagine if you're an ET knowing that this is all going to work out on our behalf, and just observing and watching all the reactions in the meanwhile.
Yeah, absolutely, and you can do that as a human too. I mean, honestly,
sure.
And it's funny because, and this is where it gets perhaps bordering on over the edge, but they enjoy coming with me on the New York City subways and taking a verse here and there of a song because the energies there are so extreme. Like it's no space to stand kind of packed in energies, and and they enjoy experiencing that intensity of humanity and all the diversity that's down there. So this
is interesting. I see a question in the chat room. I wonder when did we become violently competitive? And I think that goes all the way back to the days of like the Roman emperor, where they threw the people out to the lions, actually, and that's kind of like the beginning of stadium sports. I don't know if that's true or not, but off the top of my head, that's pretty much where it would come to, or come from.
Well, that's when it was first portrayed in movies. I'm not sure. I'm sure. I don't know. Maybe it was there beforehand.
Maybe it was something like the Mayan sacrifices, that they did when they were in front of a bunch of people doing their sacrifices. And I hear this a lot too. Well, the Mayans were cannibalistic or whatever. They did all these sacrifices. Well, you know what? There was a bunch of sacrifices in the Bible. First and foremost, look at Jesus.
Yeah, right. Oh my God. Yeah, it's crazy. And we always. There was a street I was going down to bike to. My friend said, "Oh, we have that street in Massachusetts as well." And I was like, it's probably someone who killed someone. It's probably someone who fought a lot of wars. Usually, everything of importance that has a name is usually after someone who's murdered a lot of people.
That wouldn't be Elm Street, would it?
No.
And your friend's name's not Freddie, right? Okay. So I see we have another caller, but just to remind everybody, we do have open lines. So feel free to give us a call. Our phone number is 646-716-8890. And right now we're going to bring in area code 719. You're on the air on in5d Radio. Hi, what's your name? 719.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
What's your name?
Hey, my name is Xander.
Xander, welcome to in5d Radio.
Cool name, Xander. Welcome.
Well, that's my last name, but I'm a military brat, and it seems familiar, so thank you.
Any relation to Robin Xander, the lead singer of Cheap Trick?
No, I've looked into that. It was interesting. No.
Okay.
No, how funny.
Okay.
Thanks for asking. I've been listening to you guys for a while. This is fantastic. Let me catch you up on me so you know who you're talking to.
Okay.
Just so you know, I've been listening to the last show. Total introvert, but yet here I am calling.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, man. Thank you. Yeah, May 1st, Taurus. So we've had us Tauruses have had a lot of heavy stuff lately, but it's good.
Right? I know, I'm a Taurus too, Xander.
I thought I caught that. I wasn't sure. And also, by the way, I don't listen to words or music with words much anymore, but Heidi, great vocals.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
I agree.
Yeah, I usually stick to my soft and no words to put stuff in my head, but I have to remember that there's good words out there to absorb as well.
Oh, thank you. You just made my night. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is beautiful. Going back to, I was listening to Caitlin and the military thing. I'm a military brat. My dad was a drill sergeant, so the whole hardcore, fold your underwear, all that stuff, which was fine. I got a lot of great stuff out of it. My manners, I'm a decent guy, all that stuff, but there was a lot of crap too. But yeah, the military perspective is weird. Yeah.
Do you have any friends that are currently in the military, and if so, are they awakened?
I do, and no, they're not, and I'm the crazy weird one that they keep wanting to contact.
Contact because...
There's a lot of confusion. Well, they'll contact me and ask me a question of, well, what do you think about this? And I try to avoid confrontation, but a lot of times when when my friends like that contact me, they get frustrated because when you tell people I just know, it really doesn't go a long way. And so I'll try to find concrete stuff to go, hey, well, take a look at this, take a look at that. And, you hope the seeds are planted and you move on. It's quite frustrating, I have to say, but also challenging in a beautiful way. And I suppose that's how I came up, so I might as well be challenged.
So where do you see the future heading in regards to the military, especially the retired military and this whole awakening movement?
Yeah, it's interesting. I think they are waking up. I think I watch it around my whole family. I can see it in a microcosm with my family. We're so used to everything being cut and dry, and you can see a lot of black and white thinking. But they're kind of hopeful, but they don't know that they want to be hopeful. Like, I don't know if that'll be good because here's what I'm used to. And it goes back to the whole thing most people hate change. And, we'd rather have the same comfortable, grouchy boss than some new, lovely, light one. Is the way
I don't know about that.
They're coming around. Well, I don't either now. It's amazing. I'm not sure where I'm at, but I'll tell you, back in the day, I was 7 years old, roller skating down the street on a military base in Fort Knox, and the Sunday school bus driver pulls up. Most of the kids were already in church, and that guy told me, "You're going to hell if you don't come to my Sunday school church."
Huh.
At that point, I kind of already knew, but at that point it was like, oh, okay, now, yeah. So I'm not pretending to understand anything, but it has stunk for a long time.
Yeah.
Definitely. So you weren't in the military, but you grew up in a military family.
No, he was in the military.
Actually, I did go in. I thought it would please some people, and I went in, and that was my choice. And, yeah, no, I'm way too big of a hippie to enjoy that. So I was in for 3 short years. And I got out right before Desert Storm, and my unit was the first unit to get sent to Desert Storm in 91, and I watched them all waving goodbye, getting on that plane, and that's not what I signed up for, and I'm pretty sure that's not what most of them sign up for. Even in this day and age, when you're in a small town or in a certain situation and there's only X amount of options, I think people sign up hoping they're not going to go to war, but I don't think most of our brothers and sisters have any desire to go to war.
Well, with the recent economy, too, it's almost like either you go into the service or you end up homeless and starving. So, it's not much of a choice there, but, it is what you make it. And there are actually other choices that you can do once you learn how to look inside for answers. But people, especially when they're 17, 18 years old, they're not likely to do that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's weird. You want to give warning signs or, hey, don't, but you can't really tell people what they're going to do with their life. Even, the more I knew, I wanted to just shove it down people's throats, and the more I know now, I get quieter and choose my spots, and have finally found my voice, but oh God, it's frustrating, it's weird, it doesn't add up to what most small people, and I wasn't necessarily a small person, we moved around, but you've got, if you're in a town of 1,300, you got about 1,200 voices telling you marry so-and-so and do such and such. And people like me, gosh, I moved around. I missed not having, a stable, constant. I grew up with all these people, but they're all the same. I catch up with them on Facebook, and they're all as confused as I just made some different choices, I suppose.
Well, and that's one thing. That's one thing that you brought up that I definitely agree with. Anyway, these people are going to do what they're going to do, and you really can't step in and interfere with the choices that other people make. They have to go through certain life experiences, and that's part of their awakening as well. So hopefully these people that are either in the service or are thinking about going into the service, well, this is part of what their life calling is about, and hopefully it leads to a greater awakening.
Yeah, and it's their contrast. We all have to choose our contrast. Whatever. Sometimes it's the service. Sometimes it's working at McDonald's. Sometimes it's going to an Ivy League school. So, we all have our contrast. Sometimes it's a bad relationship. We choose our contrast to reinforce our life path. So that's where no one can really judge another's choices because they fit intricately into their life plan. Not our life plan, but their life plan. And
absolutely.
And yeah.
It's hard to watch. It's even hard to watch our own happen that way sometimes because it's like, man, I know better. I just did that, and then you go through the consequences.
Yeah, but then it only reinforces what you knew you wanted.
Picking on yourself or other stuff. Sorry to cut you off, Heidi.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, no, I just say, it's interesting. It's so much easier to point it out when it's someone else's consequence. My consequences, are interesting. Like, I'm at a point where there's no self-hatred, and I spent too many years with self-hatred. Now it's, oh, man, you did that? Okay, what was I thinking? I'll scour it, but not beat myself up. There's stuff to learn. You can't just pass it on by, or it'll pop back up. But many people don't have tools, and then they just cycle over and over again.
Well, let me ask you this, Xander. how difficult was it for you as an introvert to call into in5d radio?
Oh, extremely. Extremely.
Really?
I was so mad at myself. The introvert topic, I was like, and you know what? I got the times wrong. And so I called in at the end of the show, and the way it sounded is nobody really called in, and I was like, oh, my God.
That was you who sent me a message. Yeah.
I was totally ready.
But now that you're on, now that you're on with us, it's not that bad, is it?
No, it's not that bad, and it's talking with friends. It's weird.
Exactly.
It's easy to feel lonely out here. It's really easy to feel lonely. And you know what's funny is most of us, if we think about it, anybody listening to this, we've probably been alone most of our lives anyway. So this is just a different version, and the levels have changed. There's, and I had to call myself on that. It's like, dude, you're always alone. Who cares?
Well, we have a lot of people that are called wanderers, and it's not that they're necessarily loners or anything like that, but they're wandering through. They know that they have a purpose. They know that they're here for some reason, and they get it spiritually, but they're not fitting in with the mainstream society, and they just wander around trying to find other people to connect with.
Yeah, they find it hard, and
I have
that's
a friend,
exactly part of the reason I called.
Yeah, I have a friend who just lost her father, and she's like, I'm really alone now, and I feel for her because her reality has been being very secure with her family and being part of a lot of things, and I really feel for her, but it also made me think about me, and I've never had anyone there for me, and so and she said New York is very hard, and I don't know if I want to live here anymore because it's so hard. And I feel like New York is actually really friendly and warm compared to everything, because it's all perspective, I mean, I've never had anyone there for me, and I don't have anyone, I'm just me, but I feel all this love from all these people, and I don't know, I love the country, but I don't know if I probably would. You put me in a cow field, I'd feel just as much love from the cows. But I feel tremendous amount of love from this city. It's crazy, and it's loud and hot and dirty and stinky and all that. But there's a whole lot of love, and they just don't know. They don't have enough opportunity to let it out. I think that's my thing. So
home is home. Home is home, and that's an environment that you're used to, and that's where you get to shine. I would wilt like a terrible dandelion sprayed by bugs. That's where you get to express yourself, and you get to shine, and you get to affect mass amounts of people. Mine is smaller, but that's okay. It's huge, too. I know, I get to affect even the squirrels around me are happier. I'm hooking them all up. We're all good. So, it's a beautiful thing. There's people like you that have to be in cities like that. I couldn't do it, and thank God you're there, because that's a lot of people to touch.
I'm with you, Xander.
So,
I'm more comfortable in like a smaller country kind of setting, or anything smaller. Big cities, no, that's not for me either.
I actually love smaller, but I feel like, how do I put this? I feel like this is where I need to be right now. It's a full-time job staying afloat spiritually here and physically. It's not easy. I have to really seek a patch of grass to ground myself, or some water to ground myself. But I feel like,
sister, oddly enough, out in the country, it's the same thing.
How's that?
No, because we all. I think it's and I'm so sorry to cut you off. I think it's we're not quite doing enough. We're not quite adequate. This is odd. I have to explain it. And yet, we kind of have the knowing, but yet we're left with words, and we get to explain them. And I don't know. I find rarely do they come across how I mean. I've caught myself lately misinterpreting and being misinterpreted left and right. It's like, no, I wasn't blowing up a bomb. I'm so sorry. I
like what you said about, just home is home and how Heidi's doing what she has to do up in New York City, because and I'm sure everybody out there would agree that we're all anchoring the energies of this planet, and we're all doing our own work. But it's so important to the grid for us to be exactly where we are. We may not be in the place we ultimately desire to be, but for right now, we're exactly where we need to be.
Yeah, and I feel like, honestly, I think a better way for me to put it, I have a contract. I feel like I have a contract. This is part of my contract right now. I innately am bare feet on grass, never put shoes on. That's me. But I feel like it's like if I was hired by IBM or something. This is just my contract for now. This is the way it feels, and it's not bad. It's where I'm supposed to be, and I don't have any doubt about it. It's not going to be forever, and I'll be moving cows after this probably.
What are those things that you call shoes? What are those things that you call shoes?
Oh, shut up, be quiet.
I don't wear them either. Hell.
Oh,
beautiful! I hate them. As a matter of fact, I finally just got used to my new sandals, and that's the best I can do. And in Colorado, you have to wear shoes a lot, but
here in Florida, here in Florida, I am barefooted 24/7.
I wish, God, I go through. Literally, I'll post a picture on Facebook. I go through the boots I busk in and I occupy in. I go through a pair of those every 3 months.
Wow.
It's nuts. I just wear them out. It's a lot. So if you were barefoot here, it would be a problem. I think everyone has their place for the moment, and you just. I also think to be aware if it changes is important. And you were saying about the squirrels being littler, that being a littler energy. I don't think that's true. I have to tell you, if you communicate with squirrels and trees and water and grass and birds and on a regular basis, they are so much more open to that energy than the people in the subways.
I agree.
My feeling is you're moving mountains that way. It's tough going with humans. It's like it's like molecule by molecule.
That's well said. That's well said, and I agree. And I didn't mean to belittle it at all. No, that's what I got, and that's important.
Yeah.
And that's beautiful.
Yeah.
I think
they're so much more
in terms of how people are going to hear it. Oh, I agree, absolutely. They've got stuff that we'll never have. We can try to get rid of all our crap that we got taught as humans, and they got stuff we will never have, which is nothing. And I'm saying all the words like never and always, and I know better, but that's what's frustrating. I know you can kind of know the stuff, and then try to blurt something out, and it just never does it justice. So I'm doing the best I can with words. No, that's the important stuff. My flowers, my veggies coming up, my lettuce, I've been babying that thing. Those are my babies. My brothers and sisters of human nature, I can do what I can do then, but the best I can do to better myself in order to better my friends and acquaintances is take care of my squirrels, take care of my little cat, my familiar, take care of my veggies, grow stuff, grow.
I mean, they're not in the illusion. Yeah, because they don't have, because when I move, 100 people on a train car, so I move 25 of them. But they walk out when the doors open, and they're right back on their iPhone again. They're stuck right back in the illusion. But I mean, those 2 minutes are important. But your squirrel and your plants and your cat, and don't don't get sucked back in because they don't buy the illusion. So the energy that you're circulating, because it's a circle, whether when I'm singing to people in Manhattan or you're giving energy to your plants and animals, it's a circular thing, as you know. It gives back, it gives back, it gives back. So, but it's exponential, but it's in a way it's more efficient with the animal and plant kingdom than it is right now with humans, because they go in and out and in and out and in and out. So they get 3 minutes of singing, and then they're back on their iPhone or back watching Dancing with the Stars or whatever they're doing. So I think it's really powerful to be communicating with almost any other kingdom than the human right now. I think it adds so much to the overall lifting of vibration of the planet, and it's in no way less, no way at all, none at all. It's very, very powerful and essential. It's like tapping into the ley lines that we were speaking of a few weeks ago. It's essential, you know. It's all part of it. So I'm all for it.
It's only a matter of time before the government tries foreclosing on. It's only a matter of time before the government tries foreclosing on birds' nests.
I'm not kidding. You know what I told? I was talking to my mom and grandma the other day. I said, you know what? I'm going to figure out how to start. I'm going to get a good system for capturing rainwater. And the first thing out of my mom's mouth was, "Is that illegal in this state?" And I thought,
"Oh my God, she's awake."
I have to think about that. And it's true, though. I know better. I know Oregon. Yeah. I was like, you know what? I kind of knew that, and I'm an honest boy in the law of life, but not in that law. Are you kidding me?
Mm-hmm.
Next, it'll be air.
Well, I don't know. The plants and animals collect rainwater all the time, so why we should be any different. They don't pay rent.
I got all the quotes, you know, how come we're paying to live on this planet? Like all this stuff, you know, and I figured out that's not helpful, and I would love to help my brothers and sisters, and the best thing I can do is do what I love. I love to play tennis, and I love to garden, and I love to make sure animals have the best life that they could have as a domesticated thing.
Mm-hmm. You're so far ahead of so many people who have if you ask them, what do you love? They will be silent.
They don't know.
They won't know.
The Yankees, the New York Yankees, right. American Idol.
Far down So you're light years ahead by knowing what you love.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Xander, thank you.
You're welcome.
Go ahead.
Thank you. Thanks so much for listening. No, I was going to say on that gentleman talking about sports earlier, I haven't owned a TV in a year and a half, and, you know, I'm still trying to figure out what I do with my quiet time. I write a lot and whatnot, but as far as sports and whatnot go, I'm not going to lie. I tuned into the French Open on my computer because I love tennis. So I don't, you know, there's a weird balance there between, you know, are you watching what they're doing to keep you fat and happy and not paying attention, or, so I'm still not sure what to do with that, but I catch myself tuning into my tennis.
Honestly, that's okay. I'm a big NFL fan. And I do watch football, but the thing is, I understand the whole divide and conquer premise behind it. I understand the mentality of the commercials that they're trying to pitch and everything. Gotcha. But once you see it from an enlightened view, it's okay. And like I mentioned earlier, you know, the ETs they're digging it too. So
yeah, absolutely. With that said, watching the news is the same thing.
Yeah,
watching the news, it's like, okay, what are they up to? So once a week, twice a week, I'll go check it out, and it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah, same crap. Yep.
It is.
It's always entertaining.
Thank you guys
so
much.
News.
It is.
Thank you.
That's what it's become. Thanks.
Yeah.
You
Thank
guys
you for
are
calling in, my friend.
An amazing amount.
And definitely call back.
All right, we'll do.
Bye, Xander. Talk soon.
Bye-bye. Oh, what a great call.
I know. Yay. He's awesome.
So as many of you know, tonight we have open lines. Our phone number is 646-716-8890. Feel free to call in and talk about whatever's on your mind. And in the meanwhile, we're going to continue where we left off last week with the 51 spiritual awakening symptoms, and we left off with number 29, which is invisible presences. Now, this goes on to say some people are reporting feeling surrounded by beings at night or having the sensation of being touched or talked to. Often they will wake up feeling startled. Some also feel body vibrations. The vibrations are caused by energetic changes after emotional clearing has taken place. So, Heidi, what invisible presences have you felt?
Well, I channel, so I think that's maybe fits the bill. I've
Yep.
lost. Yeah, and mine are, they're sort of some of my closest energies, and they're there whenever I call on them, which is a lot. As I said earlier, my crazy statement, they come on the subway trains with me and sing.
I think that's awesome.
Yeah, because they ask. They love the contrast. Back to the contrast. They love the contrast. And when they asked the first time, I was like, really? Because I didn't have time to meditate that day. And then they suggested they just come with me. I'm like, seriously? So
yeah, you guys can sing background vocals.
yeah, well, they just take a verse when I get tired if my voice is giving out. They take it for me. But I like to watch the crowd when their energy takes a verse versus my energy. It's really interesting to watch. But I feel, I don't feel weights on me or anything, but I feel very watched over and very taken care of. On like I'm getting to know my family. By my family, I mean that light I saw in the sky that felt like my home, better and better and better and more intimately all the time. So but it's an ongoing communication. But I don't think of it as something bizarre. Everyone else listening probably does, but it's just a part of my life, like buying distilled water or something. It's just sort of there.
No, you get used to it, actually. Once you start getting in communication with whether it's an invisible presence or your higher self or spirit guides, you get used to it, and it becomes like an everyday routine.
Yeah, it's integrated into everything I do, whether it be running or biking or singing or setting my intentions for the day or giving joy to someone else, and it becomes, so there's less of it, like at this point there's less of a delineation between, for instance, channeling and my normal and my non-channel day. It sort of blends into one now, more than being a separate experience.
Now, I've talked to a lot of people who have experienced the same phenomenon as me, where you'll see something out of the corner of your eye, but there's nothing there. I mean, how many people in the chat room have experienced this? Sometimes I might see a shadow where a shadow shouldn't be, and other times I feel like a presence is with me. Like I get these goosebumps and the hair rises on my body, and I use my own discernment whether these are malevolent or benevolent entities, and generally they're friendly. Many times they're my guides, but sometimes they're not so friendly entities who I calmly ask to leave, to go home and follow the light.
I'm thinking the negative energies. They don't last very long. Around when I don't know if you get a sense of them, then you just. It's not even a conversation. They don't stay very long at all, I think. So most of the time it's just the good stuff. Oh,
I'll confront them every time. If I feel that energy is there, I'll confront them. I'll tell them where to go.
Yeah, good.
And, it's pretty cool. It's nothing to fear, honestly. If you get something like that, it's really nothing to fear. They can't harm you, and if you want them to leave, just ask them to leave, and they will, generally speaking. Well, you might want to give them a little help. Tell them to follow the light because, look up, follow the light, go home. Number 30 is portents visions, illusions, numbers, and symbols. And it goes on to say, seeing things that have spiritual importance for you, noticing how numbers appear synchronistically in your awareness. Everything has a message if you take the time to look. So how often do you get these synchronicities, Heidi?
All the time. But for me, I kind of, synchronicity, I feel like it's more magic. It feels like magic when it happens. And it's all the time. I feel it. I feel it when I bike and run into nature, when I'm at the Hudson and I see a sunset that's just like jaw-dropping, or and then of course when I'm on the trains, it's just magic after magic after magic after magic. I mean, like, it's so much. It's so you can't. You can't catalog it fast enough. You know?
I know.
It's like boom, 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 boom. People are like, how long? So you spend 8 hours down there? I'm like, oh my God, no! It's so intense, and there's so much synchronicity, magic. It's amazing how much happens. So and when I take a day off, it feels kind of bland. It feels kind of like the pace is so much slower, and but there's a lot of space in between synchronicities. But then when I go down into the trains, they happen so back to back, 10 or 11 or 12, all back to back. So yeah, a lot.
Well, I know that.
You?
Well, there's a lot of people, I guarantee, that are in the chat room that have experienced the whole 11/11 synchronicity, and in this field, that's just about all of us have. And you'll look at the clock and it'll be 11:11, 5:55, 11:33, or like Xander said in chat room, 4:44. That's one of his numbers, and you say to yourself, when you see that number, of course it is. You almost expect it. And it's not like you're checking the clock every 3 minutes to create that synchronicity. It's just something that happens. Now, the most important thing about these synchronicities is to take note of what you're thinking about at the time when the synchronicity happens. And if nothing important is happening at that moment, then look at it as a sign from the universe that you are on the right path. And I see that we have a caller with the area code of 352. I'd like to welcome you to in5d Radio. You're on the air. What's your name, caller?
I think that, hello?
Hi.
Hi.
Uh-oh.
Hi, no, you're well, you made it on with your cell phone, I think.
Okay. Well, yeah, we were looking for our phone for like the past 30, 45 minutes and couldn't find it, so I just decided to try to do this on Skype, so I'm glad it's working.
Yeah, it is. What's your name?
This is Kendra from Ocala.
Oh, okay, Kendra, you sound different.
Yeah. It's just the Skype.
We love Kendra. We love Kendra and Lars.
Hi, Kendra.
Well, Lars and Kendra love Heidi and Greg.
It's a big love fest here going on in5d Radio. Now, what a lot of people don't know about Kendra is that she has a website out there specifically for Lightworkers. It's called lightworkerads.com. And Kendra, let me ask you about that, and maybe you can explain what Lightworker Ads is all about.
Well, it's a baby at this point, of course, but just been inspired over the past several years by seeing all the contributions that have been made by websites like in5d, websites like even though Red Ice and everything is a radio talk show, they're still contributing. There's so many sites out there that are dedicated to helping people find information and truth and resources. And I have a background and a kind of a little bit of a hobby and love for web design and what have you. So we went ahead and
you're amazing at it.
Oh, well, thank you. But we decided that we were going to go ahead and create Lightworker Ads. And I had a classified site not long ago. It was dedicated to artists. And it just kind of bombed out, and I'm guessing divine intervention has something to do with that. So I just decided to turn focus and do something a little bit more, dedicated to what we're all trying to do, and that's help raise the vibration of the planet.
So say I'm a psychic or somebody in the metaphysical field, and I wanted to place an ad. What would I do?
You just register on the site. We should have the Facebook Connect situation fixed at this point, but registration's real quick and easy. Once you go through that small process, then you're free to place an ad. You go through like a regular checkout process where you select a place of classified. You choose the category the best, suits your service or product or event or what have you. And you create your own classified listing. You can upload your own Twitter feed to the ad itself, upload video, images, all that. And we're making it as affordable as possible. So we're doing 90 days for any listings free of charge. And any fees that are associated with like upgrading, like if you wanted to feature your ad or something like that, it's very reasonable. Only $10 for an entire year. So any fees that, are generated are going towards strictly, site maintenance, development, and stuff like that. It's meant to be just a resource, just a really, overall resource for people to list themselves. I mean, we got Craigslist that's out there, and they're just, I just can't stand Craigslist anyway, but, it's just, people are going on there and finding everything from scams to, indecent proposals. We needed to have something a little bit more dedicated to the lighter side of things. So I'm not saying that Lightworker ad's anywhere near, up there with Craigslist, but hey,
I just posted a link in the chat room. And,
good. Okay.
And I'll post a link below this video on Blog Talk as well as on YouTube for people that are listening.
Well, thank you, Greg. I really appreciate that.
It's an amazing website, and what she's offering, you can post your ad right now for free. That's what you're saying, right?
Yep, you can post an ad for free for 90 days. You can just set it and forget it. We're working behind the scenes on SEO, even for specific ads. We have, general overall, stuff that we're doing for the site itself, but we're actually even going in deeper and digging into the specific ads and doing specific SEO work on people's ads to help them. So it's really a selfless thing that I'm trying to accomplish, but, it's going to, it's going to take some time to get things going and to get the directory, going and getting people in and involved and stuff. But, we just, we have, the idea that eventually, it'll turn out to be a nice little resource for everyone and also to help people find what they're, who and what they're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Well, I know that you have the same work ethic as I do. You work endlessly, and I don't know how you get everything done. There's times where I just shake my head. It's amazing. Kendra's like one of the hardest working light workers out there in the field, and if she puts her mind to something like this, it's going to be nothing but successful. And I highly recommend, people, if you have any kind of service, light worker related, definitely sign up for the lightworkerads.com website.
Thanks.
Sounds so cool.
Really appreciate it very much. And, we are looking for, anybody, that has something positive to offer, whether it be just, information. Sorry about the background noise. It's kind of hard not to do that with Skype. But, we're just looking for anybody that has something positive to offer. I mean, everybody, not everybody's on the same page, but I do feel like we're all moving toward, that universal knowing instead of individual belief, type thing. And, it's going to take a process, I think, for everybody to, get to that collective, consciousness that we're all trying to achieve. But anyway, I was actually listening earlier, and I wanted to call in, but because you were talking about, entities and everything, and things that you do to try to kind of deter that. And it's funny because I really wish that I would have been raised a little bit differently than I was, because I had some really creepy things happen to me as a kid with those little, I used to call them the darkies, but, and I always felt they were picking on me because nobody really could see or experience what I was experiencing. And I tried the whole, get away from me thing, but I was listening to people, from churches and stuff saying, oh, well, that's just Satan, the devil, and you need to cast them out in the name of Jesus and all this other. And I would try to do that, and it just did not give me any sense of security at all. It actually made me more scared. It made me even more scared.
Yeah.
So, I've had my hair pulled really badly in the middle of the night and heard something calling my name, and I've had people swear up and down that they seen me running barefooted in a field, and at the time we were like living out in the middle of nowhere, and there was no other little blonde-haired, blue-eyed girls anywhere in sight, anywhere at all, except for me. So of course, when the guy from down the street starts knocking on the door and says, "Hey, your daughter was outside running through the field with bare feet," and you get your butt spanked for it. And you're crying because you know it wasn't you, and you're swearing up and down, no, it wasn't me. It's just, it was very frustrating. So I think it's really sad because now that I'm older, I feel more empowered because I know that a lot of that junk that was shoved down my throat when I was a kid was just that. It was just a bunch of junk. It really wasn't, it didn't help me, that's for darn sure. But, I just wish that somebody had come to me sooner in life and explained to me exactly really what I needed to do to fix whatever it was that was going on, how to deal with stuff like that. I haven't had a problem like that in a long time, but sometimes my memories go back and I hear somebody talking about something like that, and I'm like, man, it just like a flashback all of a sudden.
Well, when the church gets involved, oh my God. You really got to laugh and shake your head. Oh my God! Of course, what are they going to say? I'm surprised they didn't want to exorcise you.
Well, that's Greg. Seriously, they told me that when I started to, pray and ask for Jesus to cast whatever it was that was bothering me away from me, that I would either fart or burp or do something that would cause embarrassment because they would enjoy that final laugh that Yeah, I remember the conversations with these people behind closed doors, and that's some of the things, sometimes, if you have, you might fart or burp afterwards because they like to leave you feeling embarrassed. Oh, my God.
Okay. Yeah, that's
it's just some of the crazy
you won't hear that
stuff
on anywhere else.
Didn't tell you.
No, it's true. They'll tell you anything just to make you believe into their whole dogma BS, and I certainly don't buy into it. And the answer was so simple. Really, all you really have to do is confront that entity. They're not going to hurt you. But, of course, the church isn't going to tell you the easy way out. They want you to think that they did it and it was all a miracle, and, it's utter BS, definitely. So you haven't had an entity. You haven't had this in a while. That's a good thing.
Yeah, no, I haven't had anything like that really happen to me. There were some dark times there when I was younger, around 8, 9 years old. I just felt like I was being messed with really, really bad, and everybody thought, oh, she just has an overactive active imagination. Oh, she just wants attention, and I remember feeling so alone in the world and so misunderstood. It was just really, it was very difficult. It was really, really hard to deal with that. I was in my early 20s before I was able to really even sleep alone at night in the dark without having a major light on it was troublesome, but I've grown a lot in my, I know now things that I never knew before. And I feel a lot better about things. But, anyway, I just thought I'd share that, and just, the whole idea with how the churches and the religions of the world help people that are experiencing things. I just think it's just really sad, especially for kids, because I know what it put me through.
Unfortunately for the children, most kids are going to listen to their elders, respect the authority, and buy into the whole BS that they're pushing on you. Now, and to those people who are religious, I completely respect your choice and decisions that you're making. And but for me, the further I researched it, the more I found out it was all about subservience, control, and conformity. It's the same template as every government. And how's that working for you so far?
Yeah. And I do too. And I also don't mean to be disrespectful toward anybody else's that has, a different belief system. Like you say, that's part of it too. You have to, be respectful and understanding and honor each other's opinions and ideas, and belief systems. I just know personally for me, it did not work whatsoever. And, it's just one of those things that I just had. It took a long time, a lot of years, and a lot of heartache, and a lot of frustration to finally come to the conclusion. And me being a Virgo probably didn't help because I overanalyze everything to death and scrutinize everything. So, but I really appreciate
Were you one of those people, this is my experience when I was younger, as soon as I would walk into a church, I just got the EBGBs. I just felt like something was not right. Did you get that feeling too? Oh,
yeah. I was raised in the Jehovah's Witness religion. And, and I had a very, very strange feeling every time I used to walk in the door. And I always felt afraid. For so many years, I just felt constantly afraid, like I was being, I don't know, like I was involved in something that just wasn't right, and nobody would listen to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you knew. You already knew, even though you didn't know you knew. You knew.
Exactly, and that's so common amongst light workers. I've talked to so many people ever since I brought that up. I think it might have been on our first show, where, ever since I walked into the church, I was like 3 or 4 years old, and I would question all the my Sunday school teachers about the origins of mankind and everything they spit out. Even at such a young age, when I was not supposed to question my elders and the authority, I would. And it's something inside of me was just saying, push further, dig deeper, ask questions. And the answers I was getting was not sufficient.
That happens. It seems like people are split between that happening in their family or happening in their religion. Some people are, they're sort of guided on both ends, which is a really rough ride. But that happened to me with my family. I just kept pushing and questioning and questioning, and it's not an easy route to take. As a little teeny person, you get smacked down every single day. Oh my God! And you're like scared to even sit at the dinner table because it doesn't feel right. You're like, this is not feeling good.
Yeah, and then your parents are saying, don't ask questions. Don't ask questions because you're embarrassing us. And I'm like, the questions that I'm asking are what's wrong with them? And aren't you curious about this? It
causes major separation in family too. Family. I mean, my family was devastated. My grandmother. I cannot even mention anything to do with spirituality, religion, nothing to her, because she will just flip out on me. And I'm like, I can't even ask you a question. I can't even have a conversation because they get so defensive right off the bat. They just instantly get defensive.
Wow.
It's kind of like the whole issue of sports that we were talking about earlier. Religion's no different. It's all about the whole divide and conquer principle.
It really is, and if they don't get it one way via religion, they'll do it another way via violence or incest or abuse, or it's just or educate or prison/education or whatever. They always got to get you, but people, every generation is less brainwashable. Every generation is less and less brainwashable. It's not working. It's not working. It's just not working anymore. I was telling Greg earlier before the show that and I'll probably do a piece on it in the future, but there's been a study done since '85 of these children who have been born, who are now immune to AIDS and cancer and so many other diseases, almost all diseases. And my feeling, this has tremendous connotations, tremendous possibilities, and I don't think it's probably that different with the brainwashing that's going on. That if they're immune to cancer, they're probably immune to the church and the educational system. And even Jim Self was talking about how the children would be, the teachers of their future, not the adults of the children, but the children of the children. And so if it's happening in our cells, and they call them alien children, but I just think it's sort of a shifting of our alien genes. I think
our DNA, yeah.
Yeah, we've all got it. And in fact, that's how they figured it out. They tested their DNA, and it's different. It's got strands that they have once labeled as junk, which of course is probably the most valuable junk that's out there, and it's now awake. And then it's having a 100th monkey effect, meaning the adults around them are now being affected by this vibration, and also are becoming immune to these illnesses. But that would also serve, I would expect, to wake people up. And then I was telling Greg, I wonder how this would affect the GMO issue, and whether we really have to stomp out Monsanto, or perhaps whether we'll transcend the genetically modified foods. And then I think it's probably going to translate into a dialogue between our consciousness, which is awakening and immune to the dark, and then the planet, so that GMOs will become extinct, not because Monsanto is necessarily bankrupt, but because we've transcended it and we're communicating with Gaia, and Gaia then has the power to perhaps bring her own seeds or her own plants back again. I think it's going to be more of that than it is, bills passed in Congress or whatever. I firmly believe that's going to be the way it's going to happen, and it's already happening.
Reminds me of that scene in the Avatar when Natiri says, Awa's heard you at the end. I cry every time that scene comes up, because it's so powerful, and I know it's a movie, I know, but that instance where she realized that I don't want to say prayer, but that request for her to stand up and join that collective force to get rid of the termites that moved in, or I can't remember what they were calling them, but I love that scene when she was like, yes, Awa's heard you, because she starts sending the animals in, and then the animals are going after the bad guys, and it's like that whole planet just joined forces all at once and just flipped everything, flipped the tide, and they won the battle, and they saved their world. I thought that was just really cool. So that's, when you're talking, it's like that's what was in my head. I'm like, that's so cool, man. Wouldn't that be awesome if all of a sudden all the animals of the world just stomped on Monsanto?
Well, I mean, it wouldn't surprise me, if the bees just were like, forget it, we're gonna like do a big bee attack on. I mean, I just think that the consciousness, if the DNA of generations is changing, and not just the children born, but the adults around them, and this is thousands of children, and it's not been reported, and it's been going on since '85, that it cannot only be limited to our DNA. It has to have be reverberating in the consciousness of the cosmos, and then that exponentially. It's like we were talking about the squirrels, that circle of you communicate with the squirrels, they communicate back with you, and so it has to have an effect globally and universally, and I just think the Earth has to know when we're waking up, and it has to feel that, and it has to know we're on its side. It has to know that Monsanto is one company. It's probably 5 guys smoking his cigars. The Earth has to know we're on its side. And so I just think that's going to be the way it goes. It's going to be a vibrational thing, and more than we're going to sign on the dotted line and make it law. I think we're past laws. I think that's a very 3D way of handling things, and it's not going to be.
Yeah.
It might be wishful thinking, but maybe the Monsanto GMOs will trigger something within our DNA that will not only resist their poison, but will also force our DNA to retaliate by altering it to a higher form.
That's what I was trying to say. That it would. It's like when you can change the vibration of water. I think, and inside all of these seeds is an element of water, is an amount of water, and if you can if you're adjusting vibration everywhere else, then it's going to have an effect on these seeds and flip them back to the way they naturally want to be, and the Earth naturally wants to be. It can't help but happen. If the DNA is changing, the seeds are capable of changing. The Earth is capable of going back. And I don't think they're talking about how the seeds are extinct and the indigenous plants are extinct. I don't think that's necessarily going to be the case. And I expect they'll come back, and they'll come back stronger and more vibrant and more healthy than ever.
Yay.
Yay. Yay. Yay. Because they've been tested. You know, it's like watering a plant, and then usually you water it every 3 days. If you go 4 days, it stresses it a little bit. Do you know what I mean? It stresses it a teeny bit more, so then it's a little bit stronger when you water it. Does that make sense? So you stress it, and then it becomes a little stronger. It's like when you break a bone, when it calluses over and heals, it's stronger. You break your left ankle, it's going to end up being stronger than your right ankle because it has callus. Yeah. Yep. That's it. Yeah. Uh-oh. Yay.
Well, I'm sure you probably have some other callers. I don't want to take up the line here, but I really I appreciate everything, you guys, and thanks for having an outlet for people to call up and to either vent or share or whatever. I mean, I think it's great.
Thank you, and we love having you guys call. And obviously, you're feel free to call us anytime. And for everybody listening, be sure to check out lightworkerads.com, and I put a link in the chat room right now. And Kendra, thanks so much for calling. We love you.
You're welcome. And I hope you find your phone too. I hope it's not lost forever. I mean, we love hearing you on Skype. Either way is awesome.
He actually just found it a few minutes ago and put it right down in front of me, and I'm like, oh, yeah, great.
Thank you, universe.
I appreciate it very much.
Right.
You guys have a good
any way
night.
you get on is thanks, Kendra. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, we have another caller, Greg, I think, from area code 859. Hello, wait. There it goes. 859, are you there? Here's something. 859, are you there?
Hello, 859.
No, I'm 859, but I never called. I never pushed the button.
Oh, okay.
Do you?
Wow, that's
I mean,
interesting.
I can say something. I had about 3 tracks on my mind going.
Apparently, the universe wants you to talk with us.
Yeah, pick one. And what's your name?
My name's Cliff.
Hi, Cliff. Well, if you have 3 tracks, pick one, and we'll just move on from there. We'll just keep going.
Okay, pick one, right? Well, let's see. Let me get my head loose here. I don't know. It's interesting. Everybody seems to have opinions about spiritual things, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I've sort of, I guess. Through experience, I've learned not to be so firmly rooted, in my attitudes, because I find in my values or viewpoints, spiritually speaking, that I've experienced change, sort of involuntary change via the wolf and wolf of the universe. Mm-hmm. So I'm somewhat skeptical of those that have an absolutist position as far as their spirituality or their certainty of this life and its outcome. Now, I catch a lot of flack for that. And with most things, most of this duality, there's evidence on both sides. That you can say, well, anything you have to surrender to a discipline or to a religion or to a spirit or anything for it to do you any good, and you can resist it, resist all of it, and that's the only thing that'll do you any good. So I'm not really sure. I'm tentatively certain about a few things, like the sun is rising, but in the morning. But beyond that, I get a little shaky. That's probably.
Well, I've heard a lot of stuff about, and this topic fascinates me, about near-death experiences, where people cross over to the other side and they report back what they experience, and there's so much accountability, so much reference to how we cross over to the other side. Most people say there's no religious figures. You end up doing a life review where you see your life in this panoramic 360-degree view through your eyes, and then you do a life review through the eyes of others. And when so many people are coming back and saying this after a near-death experience, now I don't know exactly 100% sure what happens, but when so many people tell me that, I tend to believe it.
Right. It's empirical evidence, I guess, you could classify it as, and that's persuasive. There's no doubt about it. No doubt, absolutely no doubt about it. And then you have the entheogen experiences. They're also very anecdotal and very, and many people have the similar elements. I've in all my years of seeking this stuff, I've never found similar or exact experiences to match to where you could accumulate evidence. You say, well, this person has had the same experience. There's always variations of the fundamental experience may match, but there's always variations that throw the whole thing into question.
Well, it seems like you're being led down the right path at all times.
Yeah, your curiosity speaks for itself, honestly. I mean, you're saying a lot that you don't...
Are you speaking with all of us, or just anyone in particular? Are you talking to me in particular, or the collective?
I was speaking to you that your curiosity speaks for itself. Yeah, like you're saying.
Right.
You don't know this. You don't know this. But honestly, the fact your openness and your curiosity to hear things is awesome. I mean, I think people decide they know things when it resonates for them, because I think humanity. Okay, here I'm going to sound like I know something, but don't take it that way. Humanity seems to be going more towards feeling than thinking, which is probably a good move. And so I think people tend to feel as if they have a handle on something when it resonates, when it feels right to them. And that's when you get those sure statements oftentimes, from people. Like, I know this. And the near-death experience is right in line with that, because it's something one person has experienced. It's a very individual. I mean, many people have, but I mean, not two people don't experience it at the same time, is what I'm saying, or rarely. I guess it's probably happened, but when something happens that is attached to a feeling that's that strong and that life-changing, you cannot push it away, even though you can't pull out a photo on your iPhone and say, no, but here, it happened, So, but your curiosity and your attraction to these things, whether it's something you feel or that you're just curious about, speaks for itself. There must be some vibration there that's speaking to you. So you're curious about it, which is awesome.
Oh yeah, vibration. You put your finger right on the word. That's I'm very, very familiar with vibrations. And it's sort of like a beacon, homing. I just home in on the vibration, and that's sort of the way it's. You have to be, when you get into this stuff, like I'm sure that Greg will reaffirm on this, that you have to have an attitude of a seeker. You have to and you have to overcome fear. As if you fear dominates you, you're going to be closed off. You're what you're seeking, you're not going to find. I don't. What song was it? I don't know, it's maybe Jim Morrison, the old song, you have to kiss the dragon. You know, you have to get close to it to kiss it, you know, and that's easier, much easier said than done. It's because fear can easily bleed to panic.
But the more you do it, the easier it gets.
Oh, it easily gets, right. It's like anything. It's like a spiritual discipline. You cultivate it, you know. It's like exercise. You become stronger, and but there's always another level. There's always another.
Right.
And I'm always humbled all the time. I'm purely humbled, daily almost on this path of the individuals that I encounter that are so much stronger than me, so much knowledgeable, so much more knowledgeable, and so much further along on the path, and have so much greater wisdom. You know, so there tends to be each individual has a tendency to overestimate themselves, because once you think, okay, well, I've drank the ocean, what's next? Well, you find somebody that's drank the ocean on 2 or 3 planets. You know, so your knowledge is not so great as you might think.
I'll tell you what.
Especially qualitatively.
I used to be in a bowling league, and I was pretty good, and they talked me into going into a scratch league, which is for people that have 200 and above averages. And so my first year in the scratch league, I was looking at the scoreboard, comparing myself to whoever was doing the best at that particular game. So if somebody let off with 5 strikes in a row, I'd be trying to compare myself to him and putting a lot of pressure on myself. But then I finally realized that it's not a competition against me against that one person. It's me against myself. And if I stayed within my game, I would do fine. And as it turned out, the following year, I ended up being the most improved bowler. I think I averaged like 211. But the point is that, you know, don't worry about, you know, whatever path anybody else is on, because it's really not a competition. You know, you're doing exactly what you need to do right now. You're on the perfect path of where you need to be, and your guides are helping you along the way.
Yeah, I was going to say that it brings in the guide issue, because you were talking about fear, and I said I would think for me, that's when those Greg's, whatever number we were on, 16 or something, those entities come into play. And the other thing I wanted to add is that when you remind yourself that, you know, the person who's drunk oceans on many planets seems like they've attained so much more than you, realize that we all of us have all of this in us. And we all have the access to all of this, the same stuff, the same information, and it's not special to one person or 5 people or 20 people. It's all there for us to discover and remember, and on our own time. That's all it is. It's just remembering on our own time.
I like what Sean Cohan said in the chat room. She said, the question is, who were we before they invented religion? We were pure love. And that's what we are.
Yeah.
And we still are.
Right.
But we've been taken away from that. And now we're individuals with egos and...
No. Well, I posted something on Facebook this week about my busking, and that's what people always, will get on the train, they see me as separate, they see everyone else as separate. I see them as love. I see all of us the same. That's how I reach them. Because it's, and when you see people that way, easy with animals, easy with squirrels and plants. Not so easy with New Yorkers. But if you can get there, it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. So to remind yourself of that, and that we all have access to all of this information. No one's got special passes. No one does.
Right. You have to be the right attitude. Really, attitude is very important.
You got it though. You got that attitude. You're on the search. It's so awesome. I mean, you see, to me, it feels like that the minute you you get something, you're hungry for the next thing. So
sure.
what more could you ask for?
Isn't everybody? Isn't everybody?
No, not yet. No, no.
Well, I'll tell you, you're there already, brother. So just keep doing what you're doing. All right. But we got to let you go right now because
I understand.
Our time is up right now. So Cliff, thank you.
Nice speaking with you, friend.
Thank you for calling.
Thank you for calling in, and don't be a stranger here. Definitely. All right. Take care, brother.
Okay. Super. Bye now.
All right. Bye-bye.
Hi.
Wow. Okay.
Cool.
Yeah. So, okay. Next week, well, as you kind of know, we're jumbling our schedule around a little, and we're looking at bringing on a guest speaker, but it might end up being an open line tonight as well.
Yeah, we don't know if he can come on 1 week earlier or if it would be the following week, but he's awesome though.
Yeah.
He's on. He's an expert in out-of-body experiences, so sort of on what we were talking about tonight. Mm-hmm. So it's William Bullman, and he's part of the Monroe Center. So it's awesome. He's the expert of the expert of the expert. So get your questions ready. It's going to be this coming week or the following week.
Yeah, and this is going to be a really great interview because I absolutely love this topic, and I wish I could tell you more about this at this point, but it's right now everything's up in the air, and as anyone can tell you that has a radio show, sometimes you have to change your schedule at the last minute. So, as always, we're going to close out tonight's show with a song written and performed by my co-host Heidi Cole called "Walk On Through the Rain." And on behalf of Heidi, this is Greg Prescott from in5d.com. Namaste, everyone.
Namaste. Nice visiting with you guys. Bye.
Bye-bye.